Okay, so with this episode and the next episode, this is the mid-season finale of Amphibia. But from what I saw on IMDb, this isn't the last episode before they took their break. So that's that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, so yeah. So this is Amphibia. This is episode 30A. The sleepover to end all sleepovers. Yeah, this is an interesting one because in terms of the story, it made... Okay, so pretty much what this episode is Marcy and Sprig and Polly they're having a sleepover at Marcy's place, or in Marcy's room in the castle, which again, like, it makes sense, that's where she's been staying. And from what they said, this is the night before they talk to King Andrius about the music box. So Marcy and Anne both think that this is basically their last day, pretty much their last night. So Anne decided, they decide what better way to celebrate their last night than by having a slumber party, or a sleepover, I should say. And Sprig and Polly come along because, Sprig and Polly, they never had a sleepover before, so they wanted to join in. Not to mention Hot Pop wanted to spend his time getting his full body, and then they just slammed the door before he could finish. Which was really funny. And yeah, and so for the most part, everything seems to be going okay. And then they do bring up how this is the first sleepover without Sasha, and they kind of brush over the fact that they're more focused on the fact that they're doing a sleepover without Sasha, like being like, okay, so what do we do? Because Sasha's usually the one that planned everything. This one, it's basically freaking like, that's it. That's pretty much it. They don't like have that moment of pause of being like, oh, yeah, Sasha. Like, they don't have that. I don't know. Okay, so... No. Okay, so, and when it comes to the continuity or some of the episodes in this season, I don't know. I don't know how much of COVID affected this in terms of their production and like having to get these episodes out, because if I'm correct, this episode came out in September of 2020, or maybe even October of 2020 if I'm thinking correctly. I think it was October, or at least late September. So I have no idea how long it takes for these episodes to be made, how long it really, from the interviews that they had with the Rebecca Rose interview, if they talked about working with COVID and stuff, and obviously how difficult it was, but I felt like it was more focusing on the future seasons of both of their shows. Like, for Amphibia, season 2, the finale is is literally a week from this Saturday. So in my mind, it would make sense that they're more probably talking about the next season. So for Matt, it would be for Amphibia season 3. For Owl House, season 2 is still from what I heard, we're probably gonna get it in the summer now instead of May. So who knows? Okay, well, enough talk about that. Let's go back to the episode. So yeah, Anne and Marcy basically give Sprig and Polly kind of like the crash course of what a sleepover is, but obviously the main rule of their sleepover is you can't fall asleep. You have to stay up until morning. Yeah, I remember having a few sleepovers where me and my friends, we tried to do that, but we were basically like, this isn't gonna work, we're just gonna sleep. Yeah, that's basically how it went most of the time. But yeah, so they pretty much like, okay, well, what do we do? How do we spend the night? And they're like, well, we just do whatever we want. And a part of me was like, so some of the things they do, I can definitely see myself doing. Like, so at the start they take the mattress and they go sliding down the stairs. That's something that was cool. But most of it, they're torturing Lady Olivia, who she's in pure heck for all of this episode because she just is being tortured by these kids. And there's even this moment where Lady Olivia tries to interrupt them and say, okay, if we're gonna do this, then I'm gonna make sure to remind you that the basement is completely alt living. And then Anna and Rose is like, continue with the slumber montage! Or party montage! I immediately thought of Luce from Owl House because this, she technically said it first if we're talking about what episodes aired because I'm pretty sure Winged Like Witches aired before this episode, so Luce technically has the montage joke. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it basically. Yeah, some of the things that they do in the castle are a little bit interesting. Like they defaced the King Andrias's mural. That was a weird one. I'm like, are you sure he's gonna be okay with that? I mean, even if he's, I mean, again, this is me kind of like thinking of like how much of King Andrias is an act. Like, I mean, from what we see, like again, Marcy at the gates left this mysterious side of him that for everyone else they don't know, but we as the audience know. So it's only a matter of time before we see his true colors in my mind. But yeah, so after they in their minds they had a lot of fun, they are like, all right, what time is it? 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and Marcy's like, 9 p.m. We've all been there, right? We've all been there where we do so much and you feel like hours have gone by and then you look and it's like nothing. It's so I definitely got a laugh out of that, and so Anne and Marcy figured that if they have a lot of time to burn, and they pretty much did everything else, they're gonna introduce Sprig and Polly into the Scare Dare challenge. So and I was like, Scare Dare, okay. I was like, at first I thought they were gonna like tell scary stories, but I mean this is an 11-minute episode, so obviously they wouldn't have enough time. But so what they do instead is they decide to, so the game is someone has to come up with a dare for everyone to do that's kind of scary, and the rule is if you're the first to chicken out, you have to put your name in the loser book, in the book of losers. Yeah, the book of losers basically. So in other words, it's like, yeah, if you lose, you have to admit that you lost in a way. And yeah, I can definitely personally never did anything like that, but I can definitely see some part of Sleepover do that. I mean, it's a clever idea too. It's like we played the true. I mean, we played True for Dare, but this is basically Dare. Dare or be considered a loser. So of course, when Lady Olivia mentioned earlier in the episode that the basement is off limits, so Anne and the gang decide, well, what better way to play Scare Dare than by going down into the off limits basement? So that's what they do. They sneak downstairs. Polly takes a marker and draws on a person's face who's asleep. God. Yeah, I have fallen victim to that. Actually, it was weird. It wasn't even like, they didn't even really draw my face. They just took the marker and just did that. It was weird. But, so, yeah. So they go into the basement, and this is where we add more to the what is up with the king thing, because I mean, the start they find these hall of mirrors, and it's like, okay, that isn't great. Well, the kids are, everyone's really creeped out about this. I'm like, you guys have seen creepier, or heck, you've been a part of creepier. I mean, so I was a little bit like, okay, come on, guys. So they go down into the basement, and Marcy, and there was this really cool shot of Marcy, so Marcy has her flashlight on, and she trips and falls, which makes sense for her character. She trips and falls, and then they have this shot of just the flashlight, and it's like moving, and it's just, it boom, boom, boom down the stairs. It's a cool shot. I thought that, I mean, again, it's like, yeah, you've seen it before, but when you see it in a show like this, it's kind of clever. So they go into the basement, and they stumble upon these hall mirrors, which I said they thought that they were kind of creepy, but I'm like, okay, come on. Then they find this literal keep outdoor, and Anne, Marcy, Sprig, and Polly, they're like, so does anyone want to chicken out so we can go? It's like, anyone? And so no one chickens out. So Anne, the gang, they continue into the basement. They open up the keep outdoor, and Marcy describes it as a creepy crypt. So basically, it's this underground cavern with there's water, there's chains, there's coffins everywhere. And it's like, whoa, okay. It's like, what is this? And I was like, okay, this is a side of the castle that's kind of creepy, and it kind of makes you wonder who has this? Who knows about this? King Andreas? Maybe Dr. Facilier is in this world, and it's just like, oh, don't blame me, blame my friends on the other side. Oh, man, I'm sorry. You gotta keep making the Princess and the Frog references, I mean. So, basically, yeah, so it seems like everything's going well until until Anne and Marcy take a selfie, because Sprig and Polly dared them to take a selfie and near one of the coffins, so they do. And then I don't remember if this is what triggers it or not, but these kind of like ghost monster things, kind of like they seem transparent. Yeah, they're transparent, but if you throw something like one of them like, they fall into some bones, and the bones disintegrate into them, so they're kind of like flesh eating ghosts, I guess. And so the gang has to run, and okay, so I had to rewind this. I rewind this like 3 times just to hear what Marcy actually said, because the way she says it pretty fast, and it's easy to miss. But Anne, like, I like how Anne like takes a second to be like, wait, what'd you call me? And so Marcy's like, we gotta get out of here, Scoob. We gotta get out of here, Scoob. I mean, it's a I admit, I was like, I didn't hear it the first time, and I was like, wait, what'd she say? And like, again, luckily Anne, it, like, took a second to say, wait, what'd you call me? So it was a nice little, like, oh, in case you missed it, there was something we said here, so it's like, okay, but nice little nod to Scooby-Doo. So the gang, yeah, it's like, yeah, it is kind of like Scooby-Doo, because it's like, I keep saying gang. So they run an event, and for some reason there's a pathway that goes directly back to Marcy's room. Like, they literally come out of a trapdoor that's in Marcy's room, and it's like, random, maybe. So, but the ghosts come in, and it seems like they're screwed. But then, Anne, or was it Martin? Anne picks up a mirror, and the light from the ghost shines on the mirror, reflects back at them, and it causes their bodies to become physical. Which then, of course, it's like, oh my god, it's like, basically, so yeah, it becomes physical. So basically, it's like, all right, we can beat the crap out of you now. So they use mirrors to light up everyone, so to turn all the ghosts into actual things, and so they start beating them up, and eventually force them back down into the basement, and they spend pretty much the rest of the time just hanging out in the room. And then eventually morning comes, and they are tired as heck, but they're like, we did it, we made it through the night. Oh yeah, by the way, for the Book of Losers, they all put their names in it, because like Sprig and Polly do it first because they were the first ones to bail when the ghost showed up, but then Marcy and Anne, to comfort them, put their names in it as well. I mean, they even admit that they were scared out of their minds. So it's interesting. But yeah, so they make it through the night. They didn't get any sleep. Lady Olivia comes in. She's pretty furious with the fact that Polly drawn on her face, and it's not even. It's so obvious that it was Polly. It's like Polly was here, literally on the islands. Oh. So Lady Olivia is like, King Andreas will see you, and hopes that you will come in top fashion, or like respectable manner. And so yeah. And the episode pretty much, and then we have this little moment with Anne and Marcy talking about Sasha, like saying we have to get her back. And yeah, it makes sense. I mean, because, it's like, why would they leave her? Why would they leave her stuck in Amphibia? That would be the worst possible thing to do. Now, in terms of how the season finale can go, I don't know. I'm getting kind of like, I'm getting like Zuko Aang vibes from season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, maybe they're gonna have Sasha try to be back with Anne and Marcy, but then she decides against it for some odd reason. Maybe because like her fear of losing control of the friendship is going to drive her to do something terrible. And so maybe like her arc is, I mean, obviously her arc is going to be coming to terms with the idea that she can't be in control of everything, and she has to accept the fact that there are going to be times where she has to trust other people to make the calls. Because yeah, most of the time it's like from everything they talked about Sasha, like again, they like said Sasha's the one who usually comes up with the best sleepovers. She's the one that comes up with the best scare dares. Like they even mentioned that in the episode. So it's like, it seems like Sasha is usually the one who does everything, who's in charge of everything. Like Marcy, even though Marcy's the brains of the three, Marcy's kind of the brains, and I would say is the spirit. Yeah, Anne's the spirit, and I guess Sasha's the mouth. If we're going Ghostbusters, if we're going Ghostbusters, it's like, yeah. So, but yeah, okay, yeah, that's all I got. So, fun episode. It was a fun episode. I definitely was. At first I was like, okay, we're getting a little ridiculous, but then like once we get into the basement, that's when it's like, okay, there's a lot of mystery going on. Like, oh, I completely forgot to mention, like, as they were running away from the ghost, they ran past like multiple different Easter eggs I think, or little nuggets of mystery. Like they ran in through this lab, and it's like, it starts off, it's like they run through this not lab, it's like plant greenhouse. No, well, not even a greenhouse. It's like they just run through this plant place. I don't know what it's called. I don't know why I don't know what it's called. They run by one, and then they do like a quick zoom in. They run by this portrait, and they zoom in a bit on that, and it's like, there's something going on. It's like there's like something going on, and yeah, that's the other thing. So it's like, again, it's like, yeah, it's like it starts off kind of interesting, but then adds a lot of little things to the mystery, which is how a good show should do. It's so, all right, that's everything I got. So hope you guys enjoyed that video, and we'll see you in the next one.